Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michael Dewberry, Manager of Adult Programs here at the Dallas Museum of Art. I'm delighted to welcome you to the opening keynote of our new special exhibition, Constellations, Contemporary Jewelry at the Dallas Museum of Art. This spectacular exhibition surveys nearly a century of creativity and celebrates the ingenuity of jewelry artists from around the globe. Constellations does not simply highlight the treasures of a world-class collection, but captures the depth, breadth, and diversity of contemporary jewelry design. This, of course, would not be possible without the generosity of our sponsors. I'd like to list our major supporters and recognize them for their contributions. The Friedman Family Foundation Fund, Nancy C. and Richard R. Rogers, and the Rose Family Foundation. There are many, many more numerous sponsors that generously made this exhibition possible, and you'll be able to see all of their names listed in big bold letters in the title text of the exhibition. Today we have a special treat. We have two artists featured in the exhibition in conversation with Sarah Schleuning. Sarah is the Margot B. Perot Senior Curator of Design and Decorative Art. Sarah is dedicated to presenting and promoting the power and impact of design to the public through collection building, exhibitions, publications, and programming. She has a record of organizing thoughtful exhibitions and programs that are not only high profile and highly popular, but also recognized for their contributions to scholarship. She has more than 2 decades of expertise in forming relationships with living designers, bridging the gap between historical and contemporary design, and exploring how engaging with art and design can extend beyond the museum walls. She's held curatorial positions at the High Museum of Art, the Wilsonian FIU, and Cranbrook Art Museum. Notable projects include Dream Cars, Innovation, Design, and Visionary Ideas, Iris Van Herpen, Speechless, Different by Design, Electrifying Design, A Century of Lighting, and of course, Cartier and Islamic Art in Search of Modernity. Please join me in welcoming Sarah to the stage.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me? I'm trying to, okay, perfect. It's really a thrill to be here and talk about the latest exhibition that we have been working on. Oh, I found my badge. I was looking for that. That we've been working on for the last, boy, it's been 6 or 7 years. It's been a long time coming, and really an incredible opportunity to talk about the holistic idea of our collection, what it means to really build and amass a collection of a specific type of work, so in this case, contemporary jewelry, and then how do you shape an exhibition and a publication to really reflect all the nuances of it, but also all of our future possibilities and opportunities that we can make from it. So let me just ask, since I'm looking at all of you, how many of you have had a chance to see the show already? Ooh. Wow, very excited. I'm very excited for all of you who haven't seen it because it's a really wonderful exhibition. So what I thought I would do is give a little bit of background of how this collection sort of came to be. And then, so we're gonna start there. So the collection really, I think a lot of people, if they know little pieces about what is contemporary jewelry at the Dallas Museum of Art, often think of it in the context of the 21st century. But in fact, this started, the kind of seeds of this collection, of this idea started 75 years ago. And you're looking at one of the first pieces that came into the collection by an enamelist named Ella Marie Woolley. You can probably tell from the design, it was pretty contemporary for 1950. It was made in 1949, 47, I think there's a little range. And Ella Marie was a really interesting enamelist who mostly worked was San Diego based, worked with her partner, Jackson. And the museum acquired a set of 10 works by them. Only 3 were done by Ella Marie. They were experiments in these pendant forms. And what was really interesting in doing the research of this was, and what you can see in the other picture was, it was immediately placed in a new gallery that was opened. It was a kind of a members lounge gallery that opened here when we were formerly known as the Dallas Museum of Fine Art. And it was called Designed to Live With. And it was showcasing contemporary furnishings and design objects. And there you see on the wall these 10 enamel works. And so included in them are these pendants. And so for me, what was really interesting was kind of what an auspicious beginning it was, because it wasn't so much that the pieces were spectacular, it was the idea that they were purchased by the museum. It was by a fairly underrepresented artist, one that was often kind of overshadowed by the partnership, and this was her experimentations. It was shown as art immediately, and was made accessible to the community. And so for me, it really felt like what a great kind of foundational tenets to build a collection off of and start, as we started to think about this exhibition and this larger project, to go back to the sort of core value of ideas that this collection began with. Now, as with any seed, when you plant it, sometimes it's very slow to grow. And so the beginnings of the collection really focused on sort of regional craft. And so at the same time, there was the development of the Crafts Guild here in Dallas, and these exhibitions of Texas craft. And they start in 1949, when they were in partnership with the Dallas Museum of Art. So this piece by Thetis Lemon was the first winner of that craft exhibition. And there you see her in the bottom corner showing off her jewelry. You can see the piece. I probably have a pointer somewhere. Oh yeah, there's her little piece right there, the same one there. What's really interesting is that Thetis was actually was an assistant professor at the Texas Women's College and was really educating a lot of people about jewelry making and metalsmithing here in North Texas. Two of the people she taught was Esther Webb Hausman and Velma Davis Dozier. And Velma Dozier is a very important donor here, and somebody who's really part of the DNA and legacy of the Dallas Museum of Art. Actually, Esther Hausman Webb worked here at the museum for several years as a registrar and manager of these kind of craft exhibitions. But in their earlier iterations, when they were just Webb and Davis, they were known as the Lady Blacksmiths, and they ran a little school here and taught courses in metalsmithing. And in fact, in discovering through their papers at SMU, they talk a lot about how they educated themselves by working with plumbers and electricians to learn techniques in metalsmithing. So a future exhibition and more research to come, but I think really interesting. And you'll see that Velma Dozier was the winner of several of the other exhibitions. There were 16 in total of these Texas craft exhibitions. And the burr earrings at the top were, so it took 10 years of exhibitions before a prize by Neiman Marcus was developed. And so those are the first pieces that came in actually from winning, and prize money brought them into the collection. The rest of the works we've sort of acquired or have been gifted to us by family and others in future periods. But really, by the time we get to 2010, so really the first 60 years, it's a fairly modest regional collection that has mostly just been based on kind of regional craft. We did then, sort of in 2010, there's kind of this moment of what I call sort of a shift, when all of a sudden an opportunity comes for the collection to become refocused and expanded out. And so Dee Dee Potter Rose gave 13 works to the collection. And what was really interesting to me about this gift as we were doing the research was they again are sort of seeds of where we go. So incredible Harry Bertoia piece, which then helped spark as we were developing, continuing to build and think through American studio modern jewelry. Peter Skubuk, who has an incredible relationship and connection with Inga Assenbaum, which is then comes forward to us later. Bettina Dittlmann, who knew she'd be coming to speak with us today? So what an incredible kind of opportunity. So really sort of led these seeds of opportunity, and we're so grateful to kind of all the great stewardship and support that Dee Dee has given to us to help make this possible. Because one of the other great things she did, along with her husband, Rusty Rose, was to acquire Inga Assenbaum's entire collection and archive and then gift it to the museum. And what's so incredible about that is we are a public institution who is dedicated to supporting and stewarding works of art. And so for that to come into the public sphere and be available for researchers and scholars and the public for decades and generations to come is an incredible gift and opportunity, and one that I think we were so excited to steward and champion. So Inga Assenbaum, an incredible figure. I encourage all of you to learn more about her, but she was an incredible figure in the sort of history and evolution of the contemporary jewelry movement. She ran her gallery from, oh, I didn't bring any notes, and that's a mistake, but she ran her gallery from the 80s to 70s to the 90s. Well, good, I will look that up more. But what was really amazing about her was it was based in Vienna, the Gallery am Graben, and she was really one of three really important galleries and activators and champions of contemporary jewelry. One of the other ones is sitting in our audience today. Helen Drutt was really an incredible activator, and they knew each other well, and we actually were sharing, she was sharing stories with me today. So incredible people who really saw the possibility, the opportunity, and were incredible champions, and now continue to help steward that legacy for the next generations to come. So Inga had incredible relationships with artists. One of the things that she was such a great advocate of as well was about publications, about the documentations and of the exhibitions and the work that she did. We at the institution own all these catalogs, so we're also an incredible opportunity for our library and our archives to continue to be repositories of research for today and the future. And then also, so it was about 750 works that came to the museum, as well as drawings, which you will also see in the exhibitions. So it's an incredible opportunity for us. So the collection goes from probably around 50 works to about 800 works. So it's a huge transformational shift for the collection. And we had a set of researchers who really came and helped document and research the collection, which is a really great gift. And so when I came in 2018, I had all this kind of great art to work with, but really gave me an incredible opportunity to think, what could we do more? We had incredible collectors in the community, Dee Dee being one of them, but several more collectors who were really supporting contemporary jewelry. So Inga's collection sort of stops around the early aughts. So then how do you move that forward? How do you think beyond just the late part of the 20th century? What is happening? We're 25 years into the new century, so what is happening today? What are makers thinking about now? How has the evolution of their work come? And so for me, it was an opportunity to think about, how do we invite new collectors in? How do we commission works? How do we think about new voices? How do we fill collections? So what you're seeing here are some examples of some of the work we've continued to do. So Mary Rank is an incredible American studio maker. This is one of her tour de force pieces. Uta Decker works with fair trade gold. So this is ethically sourced gold. This was a commission we made with her. Taisha Carrington, who actually came here for the opening, is a Barbadian artist. This was sort of the first time she'd ever seen her work in a museum. Incredible work, working with 3D printing with like Ben Dixon Ward, so exploring new materials. And then, of course, Nicholas Estrada, who's a Colombian artist, so starting to move into Latin American artists. And again, continuing to think about how we can expand and grow and explore new ideas and new possibilities. And that was really what we've been doing very quietly behind the scenes as we were building towards this incredible moment to do this exhibition and this publication. So what I really, for me, it was really about this idea of constellations, about not talking about the history of the collection or the evolution of the contemporary jewelry field, but in fact, how do you take all these incredible works, all these incredible stars, how do you, and all those kind of ideas that they represent as unique entities, and then how do you find those interconnections? What are those dotted lines that go between them? How do those morph into these incredible stories that we can tell here at the museum? What are stories that other people see in them? We wanted to create opportunities for people to be inspired, to find their own curiosity, and really in the end, create their own constellations as we were ourselves remapping the skies, remapping the kind of ideas that we saw. What we hope it does is provide a fresh perspective for those who are well versed in the field, but also new possibilities and new experiences for those who know nothing about this. So the show, and I want to be mindful because I want to get our artists up here, but I just want to tell you very briefly sort of the way the show is set up. So as you wander through, you can understand it's built basically in the way I sort of just explained. So starting with this idea of zones of the body, thinking about what are the places on the body that these pieces are meant to activate, and how can that be sort of interconnected. This is an incredible drawing by Veroslav Novak from the Assenbaum collection of this kind of jewelry as self-expression is what it's called, or self-censorship, and how he sort of cranned out the different zones of the body, and then one of his works where you can see this kind of incredible bandeau and tiara connected, or bandeau and choker connected by wire, which starts to sort of divide and separate parts of the body. And so what I thought about was sort of 3 zones. So you have around the head, so things from tiaras to earrings, but they're not the typical. They start to break down your understanding of what you think of as jewelry. So crowns that look like cardboard but are made of silver, or made out of tiaras made out of found objects sewn together. The central core, the neck pieces, brooches, and then bracelets and rings. The next section really looks at archetypes. So what is the kind of foundational geometries? So once you understand sort of where they are on the body, how do you sort of look across a cross-section of ideas? So take a circle. And in Caroline Broadhead's example, it's an embroidery hoop that she's then wrapped in silver and tufted. Or Art Smith, who turns those circles into these beautiful spheres that become like little galaxies that encircle your neck. Or Xulun Wu, who's I think in the audience today, who has then reimagined them as olives, as sort of her interpretation of a season of summer made of porcelain. And then that same idea then crosses through squares to cubes, triangles to pyramids, and then how different links and chains get interconnected, the repetition of forms. And I think it's a great example with Marian Hosking, where you have these incredible perforated circles, and then you have Youngju Kim's with strips of Velcro. So a totally different idea of repetition of links and forms interconnected together. The next section really looks at how objects connote or signify different kind of meanings, and these are some of the examples are in there. Ones that make you almost like a warrior, like Brunhilde with her braids of iron, versus Heisbacher, Queen Elizabeth II, wearing her jewels on your bodice, but it's a sort of photocopied image of memorabilia laminated between plastic. Joy Scott's amazing kind of catalyst of conversation that really expresses her own sort of rage at the treatment of women and the kind of injustice in society, called Rundown on the Highway of Love, and that's literally a leather strip of highway and beaded women who have been discarded that cascade around your neck as you wear it. And then Ariana Fucci's, maybe people recognize it, that's the explosion of COVID-19 across the globe. So incredible markers of our moments in time. And also then materiality, the kind of alchemy of materials. So fossilized cicadas and Marta Matson's, Avo Faven's recycled garbage bags, which have been hand washed by her, sewn together to make these beautiful flowers. And then Isabel Buno's, we have a whole case looking at pearls, the kind of history of what pearls mean, but this kind of interpretation and iconography that has them. And so these are cast in silicone of a pearl sort of necklace. And the last being play, really wanting to look at the sort of both exuberance of these kind of creativity and making, but also all the different connotations that play has. So you have Bostock's toasts, these incredible brooches, and every time I show them, when people see them in person, you cannot imagine how big they are and how they defy the imagination you kind of think they are. But those are made of amber and resin, and then of course the burnt is onyx. Or Frederick Becker with his incredible kinetic bracelets that move as your hand moves, so playing off of this, the movement that the body has when you wear pieces and how that can be a driver of the movement of its piece itself. Or Schominger's incredible furniture necklace, which is a found dollhouse piece of furniture that's a vanity. Because I'm a furniture person, this is one of my favorites, because I love to wear a vanity around your neck, this whole idea. And then you can pull out the drawer and that becomes a ring. So this idea of also having a modularness, that you could wear it as a complete thing, it becomes two pieces. Sam Kramer's incredible Cyclops pendant, which is kind of this playing off the idea of pouring a silver blob and the shape that it makes and how that kind of fills into these incredible forms. So I think, yes, it's time. I think what you can see is just the structure is not following a sort of linear narrative, but creating these new constellations of ideas that I hope inspire curiosity and wonder for all. We were able in the show to feature 233 artists. In the publication, which we did as a companion, which is both an exhibition catalog and follows the themes of the exhibition, but also a collections catalog. We, because we're in Texas, we went big. It's 455 pages, and it features incredible both full plates and about almost 1,000 works from the collection, and I think about 400 of the artists we have. And so I wanted to show this because we do have more artists in the room than are going to join us on the panel, and I wanted to feature some of their works. So another work by Shulin Wu, by Sophia Borkman. We have, of course, Brooke Mark Swanson and Carol Ann Patterson. So all of these people are featured in our publication because we see them as part of this bigger collective, and that the show was really one way to parse this, and the book is another. And the book, in the end, is the legacy of this collection, which we're so proud of. So I hope you'll be inspired to both see the show, to enjoy the catalog. Feel free to take one home if you want to acquire one. But I think it's a really incredible experience and opportunity, and there was a lot of care because we feel the sort of weight and the importance of stewarding this collection and how important it is. So I want to stop here and bring up our two guests who are going to join us. So if you want to come up. We didn't practice this, so excuse our little beautiful transition. We're gonna move to the microphone phase.
You want me in the middle? Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, good. We all wear pants. Okay. So let me introduce who is sitting on my left and right. So we have Leslie Shershow. Am I saying that right? Yes? Okay. Shershow. Okay. All right. Who is an incredible jewelry artist and educator whose work explores themes of memory, nostalgia, longing, and the souvenir. She received her BFA at the Massachusetts College of Art and Design and her MFA at San Diego State University. She's taught jewelry and metalwork. At jewelry and metalwork programs, including the School of the Museum of Fine Arts, New Mexico State University, and Penland School of Craft. And she's currently a lecturer at San Diego State University and San Diego Continuing Education. I'm checking because we got these notes, and I'm making sure my information is up to date. Awesome. We're just going to have a lot of fun up here today, and I hope you enjoy us. Hopefully, and if not, don't ever tell us. We don't want to know. And then here I have Bettina Dittlmann, and I have to say, every person who's in the show, so amazing and so much fun, because I have spent so much time emailing and writing, and so for you to become living people in front of me, I feel very much like a fangirl of like how exciting it is. So excuse me for being over enthusiastic. So I have Bettina Dittlmann, who lives and works in her native Germany after completing her goldsmithing apprentice at
Neugablonz.
Thank you. Even though I have a German last name, I don't speak German. She joined the prestigious Kunststock Academy. Yeah, did I do okay? Okay. In Munich, where she studied under Hermann Jünger, who's also in our collection, until 1889. And then she came to America to complete her master's degree at SUNY New Paltz in New York State before returning to Kunstakademie in 1993 to complete her diploma under Otto Künzli's supervision. Having moved her studio between the United States and Europe on several occasions, she's settled in at Bruttenbach in Western Germany since 2008.
Thank you.
Whew. Okay, the reading portion is done. Thank goodness. Okay, let's get into the fun part. So what I wanted to really start with, I thought, was to have each one of them talk a little bit about the works they have in the show and kind of have a conversation about that. So you get to start, Bettina.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me and us to be here. Thank you so much for coming. It's not my own language that I'm speaking, so I hope I can do it. I'm very honored. I love seeing the pieces because when they were bought, they were very fresh out of the studio, and a few hours later, Didi bought them and made my life be a good life. The piece on the left is called In Wald. Wald is a forest, but I lived in a village that's called Wald. So I wrote to a gallerist when I had a show at Julesburg, Washington, lots of hello from Bettina in Wald. And then she said, that would be a good title for the show. And that's why the piece that was on the card has that title. It is iron and garnet, and it's an older piece that I made before I started working with magnet, which is the piece on the right side. It's 2017, I think, X's and crosses that I soldered, and they are held by a magnet. And I did that piece in January and February before the fair in Munich, where you saw it. And it was after the election of your president here, and I thought I can't continue making work like I was working on, because I was always thinking about the history of jewelry and about where do I come from in what I'm doing. I gathered a lot of knowledge, and then when I worked, I just work kind of in a, I don't want to say like John Cage, but I'm trying to think, let it flow, and not plan. But the planning happened, and I did always work centered, organized. I made the organization, I made the piece be what it is. And after 2017, I have been working with magnets, and the magnet is a strange thing. It's the thing that runs our society right now, because all the phones, all the computers, everything only works with magnets, and they are rare earth, which this one isn't, because it's from my father's basement studio. It's a big black magnet as an electric engineer that he took out of a washing machine, probably. And he had just passed away when I did this piece, so it refers to him also, but also to our world, or my world, kind of falling apart, how I felt. And that's all about these two pieces.
You want to go through your other plot?
But I don't want, yeah, okay.
You keep going.
Okay.
That's the way the slides are.
So I added a few pieces to explain. This is before the Inwald. I lived in Germany, studied in Germany, studied upstate New York in New Paltz, lived in America with an American boyfriend, lived in Munich with the boyfriend, lived with him in New York, left my life in New York, and after that I made this piece that was in 1996. It's the only piece that really is completely symbolic or a heart. I never did something like this except then with going on with the Ringchen. And that piece took me almost 5 months. It's old garnets that are broken and taken out of old pieces. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at you. It's iron, hair thin as really the hair that we have, 0.1 millimeter, but twisted and used in a filigree way, meaning twisting wires, rolling them through the rolling mill. In the beginning I hammered it, but it were 4 months of using wires, so I rolled, and then making filigree ornaments, and then soldering it, and then in the end setting the stones in it, and that was it for a really symbolic piece of a break or a change in my life. And it's pretty small, but yeah. So then after that, we can go on. Yes, this piece is later. It's called Gratitude. It's about 1,000 pyrite. It's not a sharp image, but you know it probably. And it's in iron. All my pieces are in iron. An early piece, and I did it after a 4-week trip to Japan, and the title is Gratitude. And this is the house that is Wald. That's where the title In Wald came from. I just put that in. It's an old forge in Bavaria where my husband and I lived. And yeah, and on the left side is the invitation for Jewelers Walk Washington for In Wald. And on the right side is the piece, and there are 2 pieces. One is owned by Susan Cummins, and one is owned by Didi Rose. And I made the second one that I think you own, Didi, because Susan was so fast buying it that I had to make it a second time, because I'm very attached to my pieces. And I did write to Susan as much as I remember that I apologize for having done this for a second time, but I needed the piece to remember, and it's much smaller, I think, and different than the other one that is here in the show. This is the same piece, but another story. There were these collectors from Italy that always provoked me by saying, but it's not wearable, and this is after being worn. It's called After a Hug. And it's pyrite iron. And this is now going kind of, I want to make a bow from old work. This is when I graduated from the academy in Munich. I made this iron flower, also very thin wires and a little bit thicker, between 0.1 and 0.5 millimeter thick wires, soldering a few months, enameling a few weeks, underfiring, and I put this in because it refers to the next pieces. Because, okay, please.
Do you want me to move?
Yeah, go on to the next. I don't remember what we sent. This is just pieces that I wanted to show Didi because it's before enameling, but we can go on. So this is the second piece to the piece that's here in the show, and they refer in some way to the flower, and you see with the next one. This is just the piece from the bottom. This is on magnet, all these loose elements on magnet, and in some are garnets. Because Sarah told me when we mailed to each other, there are definitely garnets in my piece, and I said, I don't believe it. But these pieces were shown together, and the one piece, as it's magnetic and not fixed, the one piece stole from the other.
So you told me now they have garnets because I proved it to you.
We had a very funny conversation with arrows pointing at things. Okay, the next one. So I put the red flower in because the red flower was sometimes in the 90s when I did my final thing in Munich. And this is much later, let's say 2018. And for me, it's a flower. It exists from magnet and iron filing dust, which you can lose when you wear it. It's the leftover from the rings that Michael and I have been making. And we have been making about 4,000 rings in the last 28 years. So there's a lot of filings that we have kept. And the flower for me is very important, and that's my final statement. Otto Künzli and I, when I was his assistant, had a lot of talks about what jewelry really is about. And Otto always said, the flower that you put in your hair, that's basically the first adornment that humans had. And he always said, when he can make a good flower, he will stop making jewelry. And so the flower is on my mind, and it should be on all of our minds, I think, because times are hard, and flowers always help us. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you. And so I think we'll shift to Leslie and let you talk a little bit about your piece. Do you want to see the video first? Or no? Okay, you go. You run the show. You tell me when to go.
Sure. Thanks so much. And yeah, it's an honor to be here with you, Bettina. And thank you to Sarah and Didi and the museum. And it's just a pleasure to be here. So thank you. So yeah, this is my piece in different lights. Most of my pieces start out with a feeling, and so the feeling I had at this time was uncertainty and chaos, and I have a tendency to just kind of go over the top with my work, and I think that has to do with a deep love of artificial landscapes and manufactured environments, and just that sentimental feeling that brings. And so this was kind of the first piece, one of the first pieces of this series of developing this new process. And I had gotten a residency at the Baltimore Jewelry Center for the summer. And so I went with the intention of starting new work. And it took me about half of the summer there to really figure out this process of making this work. I knew what I wanted to do, or how I kind of wanted it to look, but I didn't know how it was going to work. And so being at the Baltimore Jewelry Center really gave me the opportunity and the space to really develop this work, and that the feelings of uncertainty were and chaos were kind of personal feelings of feeling personally my world was falling apart, but also the this was 2021, so also like collective feelings as well. So I just wanted to illustrate that in this work. And so, yeah, I spent most of the summer trying to develop this process and like trying to find like a distraction from this chaos and uncertainty. And part of, you know, and just sitting with, sorry, I'm blanked right now. Just sitting with those feelings can be really tough, especially when you're an artist and not knowing what you're doing and being like in a collective space and feeling that pressure from yourself to like have to work. And so, you know, I sat with that discomfort for a while and then finally started to figure out how to make this work. And so, yeah, it's all these, the process is also just like the distraction, like that's really what most of us makers love to do, is just like make work and get lost in the process of making the work. And so it's a very laborious process of, you know, first the design, getting all the little pieces to fit together and hold together and be match and be and have flexibility on the body, and then there's a laborious process which I love, you know, of sawing and soldering and applying this like luminescent film and cutting it off in places and then putting resin on each little piece. And so that really sort of got me, you know, through this time, and also just like being around other people in the studio was just like really important to this piece. Yeah, I guess you can change this slide.
No, I was going to just so people who may not be familiar, the third image is the back.
Oh, yeah.
Just so you, because you said it was in 3 different lights, and I wanted people to know one is the back.
So yeah, it's a really difficult piece to take a picture of, and so I purposely didn't take my computer on this trip so I wouldn't do any work, but like then so I had to like search through my phone to try to find like a video I took of this piece. So it's like not a great video, but like it just sort of is able to capture like the color changing properties of the luminescent film, and so you can see like sort of the black line going through, which is kind of just like representative of like predictability, but you know what's spilling out is kind of the messy, chaotic, sort of shimmery distraction that can be like opportunity as well. So, yeah.
I think what that brings up to me is I think one of the really interesting challenges of pieces being in a museum, because they become frozen or still. And so ones that have movement, I mean, your piece with the filings, which, you know, you can pull out and move, but you can only leave it in one position. And your piece in particular is very difficult to photograph. We tried, because it has, you know, what is its best angle, what is the best kind of moment, but also it's very difficult to show in a gallery because the light is fixed. And so to get that movement across is different than when it's worn.
But I love how you included the 2 picture, like the 2 images of different lights, because it just looks completely different in one light than another light.
And I think that's, you know, I think with showing anything that has movement and sort of kineticism in a museum setting, whether it's sculpture, you know, whatever it is, it's hard because it becomes frozen and you lose that, the kind of movement of it that gets the way it sparkles in the light or it moves, those things. And so that's one of the challenges we always have in showing it, is what are other ways you can do that, sometimes with photography, sometimes with the way we try to develop mounts for some of them or things. I mean, I think for yours, Bettina, I mean, one of the things I really wanted to do was to make people realize it was a brooch. Because the easy thing to do is to put that flat and it's this incredible sculpture, but to realize it's wearable is a real, and meant to be also seen potentially in that horizontal or in that vertical way was a really valuable thing to articulate. So I'm curious for you two, and this will be our last question, then we'll open up, is sort of how does it feel for you to be, to see your work in this sort of museum setting and to be, I know, I'm putting them on the spot. But you know, just what is that like to see that in a kind of different setting, and what that kind of means? You go first.
Sure. I mean, it's a real honor, especially to be amongst all these incredible jewelers, ones that that have inspired me. Like when I first started learning about contemporary jewelry. Yeah, like Iris Bodemer, Andre Wagner, Lucy Sarneil, Bettina Dittlmann. And so just to be amongst them is like a real honor, and also just like the validation of being in a museum, like especially for people outside of the art jewelry world, or like friends and family who don't understand that like my work or what I do could be like worthy of being an art form or shown in a museum. So it's really a special opportunity for sure. Yeah.
Same here. We can go on. No, it's unbelievable. When I was in apprenticeship, I went to Vienna, and I did go to apprenticeship 1983 to 86. And I think in 85, I went to Galerie am Graben the first time, and I touched the piece that you have here in the show. So opening the door handle that Peter Skubitz made. And I never thought that my life will be like this. I knew Michael Becker, who studied with Peter Skubitz at that time already, and I thought I will never, because I'm a trained silversmith, so I didn't think I would do. I mean, I didn't understand anything. I just was blown away then, and now to see it here, this piece especially, and then young Peter on the photo, and then it's like a time warp in the head where for you the inspiration are younger people, and for me the inspiration were Jünger, Novak, Tepka. I mean, seeing the piece here just melts my legs. It's unbelievable and then also seeing how small the work was at that time. And really, I get tears now thinking about Tepka, because we had him speaking in Munich, and I had, as an assistant, to make the poster, and I made it quite large. And then when you see, and knowing that he, in Czech Republic, under the communist regime, he had to make his own saw blades. He didn't have silver. They had a very restricted amount of material. And then to see this piece is just one little 0.1 element of this exhibition in your collection and everybody's collections. It's unbelievable. And also Hermann Jünger's, Otto Künzli, where maybe I made the golden ball inside. Being his student, I made money by making the balls from Gold Makes You Blind. For Hermann Jünger, I might have made the pin back. Yeah, there is a lot of emotional connection, but also a lot of friends are here. And I never thought it would be that way. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. I think I'd love to open this up to the conversation, but I would like to say just thank you for sharing all this, because I think it's hard to talk about your own work and all this meaning. And I think one of the things that has been so beautiful for me in this experience is really not only getting to know your work, but all of you through your work, and to really know how important museums are to artists, to be seen, to have the space to be shown, and how important our role as museums is to be as really great stewards for these works because they are very precious and they have meaning. And I think hearing you guys talk about your work, I hope all of you hearing this see the incredible ideas behind the work. So what you see is at one level, but all that goes into it, all this incredible thought and feelings and, all this is in there. And I think that's so magical. It's sort of like, to me, it's that incredible alchemy of art, because the materials can be so simple and maybe not so valuable, but what they manifest themselves into is so great, and what a gift for all of us to be able to experience it. So thank you.
But
Yes.
thank you. But I have to say also, I'm not in touch with that many museums because I work with galleries, and galleries are in touch with museums, but not us as the makers. But being in touch with you, all the mails were amazing. They were warm. They were really like so full of enthusiasm and love about the work. And that's why I came also. I wanted to come because this was very extremely special, and one sees it in the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, she's going to make me cry. Like a teary moment. Well, a teary moment for all of us. Okay. Let's open it to questions. Does anyone want to ask any of us, make us cry some more? We're here for it.
Please don't be shy.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here, and so nice to meet you. And there's this moment in art, especially women in the field, where it was considered craft. And now you see textiles and woven pieces and jewelry, and it's in museums. And I'm wondering, when was the moment, or when was the time when your pieces were introduced to a museum where you felt your work wasn't just jewelry or craft, but actually individual beautiful pieces of art that are museum quality?
I mean, I don't consider craft or jewelry like bad words, but like, yeah, yeah,
It was definitely celebrated as
yeah,
art, and it was
yeah,
kind of pigeonholed as craft.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the question was, but yeah,
More of a comment, and
yeah.
also being, here at the Dallas Museum, in a museum, just not a gallery, that, because when you go back through artwork of the 70s and 60s
Yeah.
of women, it was always kind of grouped
Yeah.
together as women's work all together, or as craft.
Yeah.
So there's a moment where that dialogue switched over into an elevated piece that is now internationally accepted as art and not craft.
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably be better at answering or talking about that because.
Well,
I'll just quickly. When I came to the States in '89, people asked me what I'm doing here, and I said, I'm a jeweler and I want to study here. And everybody in America that I told that said, oh, you're an artist. But in Germany, you're a maker, you're an applied artist. But when I explained again and again, but then I stopped and I thought maybe I'm an artist. I didn't know. But I have to say, Helen Drutt, we did a lecture together, or there was in Seattle symposium where Helen spoke and I spoke, and after my lecture I was very nervous to speak in front of Helen Drutt. And after the lecture you came to me and you said, you are an artist. And that was incredible for me.
I think it's really true. I mean, for us, here at the museum, they're all artists, And I understand your question, because when I was coming up as a young curator, I came up in the era where craft was considered also kind of very negative, and so, you know, I was always trained that craft, we were always design oriented. I mean, I'm a curator of design, so it's like it was design, never craft. And I think the really beauty of the moment we're in now is all of that has gone away. And I feel like, for me, it's a part of the history. It's not a part of the now. And I feel really appreciative that I'm in an institution and in a moment where that doesn't matter. That the fact that this is an incredible collection of artists who just make something of a certain scale with a certain function attached, but they're artists making work, that's it. And that's period. And I think that's a really great thing. And I think the fact that the institution has invested so much in this, and we continue to show all of the works we have in the collection, regardless of geographies, media, classification, together because of the ideas they express. That is why they're art, and that's why that's what we represent. So I feel really grateful that this is the moment we're in.
I have one other thought. I live in a small farm in Bavaria, and our neighbors think we are makers, meaning craftspeople, and that helps. If I would say I'm an artist, they wouldn't talk to me because they would be scared.
Anyone else?
Hi, I have a question for both of you. In terms of education, Bettina, how you felt about studying in Germany and what it was like coming to New Paltz, and any big differences. And Leslie, how you feel about teaching in Southern California and versus being a student on the East Coast, and what are the differences that each of you feel about those geographies?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, when you're in, like, I went to undergrad, on the East Coast, and I wasn't quite like in the jewelry world yet, but yeah, the East Coast has so many schools there, so many events. Like New York Jewelry Week, and lots of other jewelry artists and makers, and so being on the West Coast, I feel like a little isolated from that, but luckily it's like with all these events, like you can just go anywhere. Everyone's spread out across the country, so. I'm really love like the landscape and the lifestyle of Southern California. So it helps my work, and I like being there. But yeah, I guess that's it.
So thank you for the question, Caroline. Without going back and forth, I wouldn't be who I am. If I would have stayed at home, it would have been very, very hard to do what I'm doing now. But I brought the knowledge and the apprenticeship knowledge with me to here. I had studied 2 years in Munich, but made nothing in those 2 years with Hermann Jünger. I struggled hard to study with him, but in the end, he was short before retirement. I was in the group with Kalfrich, Anushka Corazon-Walch, and Karen Stuhl from America. And Hermann was just tired of teaching, so I left what I struggled for so hard to go there to study. But he was supportive, but not really, because he had so many students before us. So Karen Stuhl helped me to come here, and she's not present in our world, but she's to a lot of people also here very influential. But she decided not to be part of the field anymore. And that coming to New Paltz that she arranged changed my life, and going back and forth is my life now. I feel at home. When I'm at home, I feel here is my at home, and when I'm here, I feel there is my at home. So I have both, and I'm so happy for long friendships, good work relationships that are all friends also. And yeah, it was life-changing to come here. And just to say quick that the European or German approach was very technical, very much thinking about how do you make something beautiful? How do you, Hermann Jünger taught us to compare your own work with what you know is good, meaning museums. Go to the museum and don't study the people of your age or of your time, but what you know already. And that's why I was always in love with the Renaissance and with the jewelry there, because it's so rich and gives so much information. I always try measuring up to that. And now I lost it.
Hi, thank you. Or I'll just yell. I was very curious. You both are working very expressively in very, very different materials. And there's always this back and forth between the materiality and how we respond to materials while we're making. And I was wondering if you would be willing to talk a little bit about your relationship to material, and how much of that you choose a material based on the ideas that you're wanting to express. How much of it is the materials lead those ideas? The materials help to create that conversation, that back and forth between those ideas that you're expressing.
I can say that really fast. I love the materials I work with. I don't plan pieces. I'm a kind of hunter and gatherer in ideas before I work. But when I work, I don't make a plan, I don't make a drawing. I just sit down and use it like a meditation over months of continuing working on something. And what I work with is basically, since after the apprenticeship, wire. And that is iron wire and silver solder, and I'm addicted to soldering, addicted to wire. I love the line. It's for me like a pencil drawing. And also the colors that come in, it's what I love and makes me work. But the gathered things come into the work, and I'm often surprised myself what comes out. The heart is the only thing where I had a clear vision what I want to do. Everything else is automatic.
I guess for me, I'm always like drawn to materials that like give me like a spark of joy, and usually it's like luminescence, sparkly things, glitter, you know, kind of nostalgic 80s stuff, tropical landscapes. But yeah, like I've always been obsessed with these like artificial worlds. So I think I've always tried to sort of create that in my jewelry, just to get like, yeah, a certain feeling from it. And so before this, there was a lot of experimentation with all different kinds of like plastics and all that stuff. But I ended up here with just, and so now it's like, I'm not exploring the material anymore, but like the forms or the concepts that the material can take on, I guess.
We've got time for one final question.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm wondering about your earliest works when you first started making jewelry. What your work was like, and what the sort of through line was from then to now. Like, what do you see in your early work that's still present in your current work?
When I was at the academy, I made a switch from silversmithing, meaning pots, vessels, spoons, forks, knives, usable things, to jewelry, because I was all of a sudden in a jewelry class with Hermann Jünger, and I perforated copper foil for the first year, using engraving tools, but also hammers. I have a whole box of just perforated objects, and then started rolling it into cones, spikes. It's the 80s, punk was present. So and I think I work pretty similar still. I try to understand what the tools do and if I like the material, and the transparency and fragility is still my theme, the same like in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I think I always, I tend to like forget what I've done before and like move on and then do like another series, but then when I look back, I see that like it's all like connected, and it all has kind of the same concept in a way, but like maybe translated in different materials or in different forms, but I've always just been kind of exploring like my relationship with nature and longing and yeah, just like kind of finding joy within that. Yeah.
If you will indulge us just one more minute, we have one final question.
I've given 4 collections to 4 museums, and I have 4 buried collections. What is this question's for Sarah. What is the commitment of the Dallas Museum to contemporary art jewelry?
Wow. Am I on the record here? Well, I think, look, this is what we're doing now. This is a huge moment for us that has taken a long time to get here, and I think we've really have made a very strong expression of how important this collection is to the institution. I'm not, I think we really value it, and we value it as integrated, not as a unique collection that sits in isolation, but as one that is embedded in sort of the DNA of the collection. And I think as we move forward, at least for me, the intention is to continue to interweave it more and more into the idea of the whole collection instead of this is a pocket collection of something. So that's really how we see it, and that is the intention we have. Yeah, well, you can help us, but I think the support, again, will be so important. This is a heavy lift to get here. This is a lot of incredible work that has taken to make this publication, to make the show, to build this collection. This is so many people, so much investment that's both financial, that's human, that's time and energy, enthusiasm, support, people showing up. You showing up for this talk adds value to how important this collection is. The success of the show and the publication helps build support for us to have it be meaningful to the institution. So it is also not just on me and us, we all have to work together to see that. And I think one of the things that I hope with this show is that people see how incredible this work is, how incredible, I mean, these are two little, they're not little, two stars in a big constellation, a big pantheon of ideas, and those are in a bigger pantheon of artists across time. And so I think we just continue to want to put that out and hope that we receive back, and that's really that's the most we can do. And I think it's been really validating and exciting for me, and I think all of us who've been working on this, whether you're an artist in the show, you're a sponsor who helps support the show, you've just been listening to us blah, blah, blah about the show for endless amounts of time. I think it's that to see people who've never experienced this work and see the kind of magic of it, that is, it's the unquantifiable ripples that make the kind of meaning for all of us. And that's what I kind of can't wait for. It's not only the now, it's that people are going to be talking about this and what they get out of it and what they see. That's what really what I'm excited about. And I think that's what's gonna, what this collection is helping us do, is help people rethink what this kind of material can be and all these incredible ideas. And I want to thank the two of you for being so open about what these works that you made that are in our collection that we're showing mean to you, because I think you can see it and you add your own layer of ideas, but to hear you both speak about them has just shifted even for me. It's like a kaleidoscope when it shifts and you're like, now I want to relook at these again and think about them in new ways. And so I want to thank all of you both for being so open and sharing that. And we just hope that many more people are inspired by this. So come often and please help support us, because this is really, really important and it's special for us. So thank you.